talk about parent-teacher conferences. The first part, I just want to introduce you to some general concepts about parent-teacher conferences. Then we're going to talk about how to prepare them, and then we're going to talk about what it looks like during the parent-teacher conference. So to begin with, the purpose of having conferences is to be in touch with parents about their child's growth and development. Please don't wait till it's too late to have a conference, till there's a problem. Conferences should happen on a regular basis. Don't wait for negative behavior. They should be for the purpose of keeping parents informed about their child's growth and development. And if negative behavior does happen, then it can be addressed at a timely manner before things get out of hand. So when you have a parent-teacher conference, provide developmental overview of the whole child. How is the child doing socially? How is the child doing emotionally? How is the child doing cognitively? And how is their physical development? Provide uninterrupted time and privacy. Parents need to come in and speak with you and not be interrupted by people popping their head in the door. They want to know, be in a spot where they can speak freely and know that no one else is listening. Parent-teacher conferences increase knowledge for both parents and for the teacher, and so that can only help the child. And it also is a time for you to formulate mutual goals. Now, how do you plan for a successful parent-teacher conference? Well, the first thing that you do is you need to explain to the parents the purpose of having a conference. Automatically, when a parent hears that the teacher wants to meet with them, they think that there's a problem. And so it's very important for you to establish right from the beginning that you are the kind of teacher that has regular parent-teacher conferences, and that you bring them in because you want to show them how their child is developing and talk about their successes and talk about how to best help their child develop, to set goals. You need to plan for uninterrupted time. So make sure that your conferences are scheduled enough further apart, or if you have them back to back, you have instructions posted outside your door for people that are waiting for the next conference in case your conference for some reason goes long. They'll anticipate that you have a plan for that. So make sure you have uninterrupted time. When you have a conference, understand that all parents are not going to be the same and that some of them have some very cultural differences. It might be cultural in the way that they dress, it might be in their religion, it might be in the way that they speak, it might be in the way that they discipline their children or who takes care of their children. Some parents are very strict, some of them are very lenient, so you need to take that into consideration and realize it's not your job to fix them at home, but we need to find a way to work together as parent and teacher and child. Give ample notice. Let people know that parent-teacher conferences are coming up in 2 weeks and that these are the times that will be offered and that they can begin to sign up for those times. And then it's always good to give them a reminder, whether it's a note in the backpack or a phone call or an email that time is coming up and is scheduled for just you and them. Plan a private location. Again, parents don't want to be somewhere that's public where other people can overhear. They're going to hold back information if they feel like their privacy is compromised. Plan goals to be discussed. So don't wait until the parents show up at the conference to plan the goal. Have some suggestions for goals. That doesn't mean that they're going to be the end results, but have some guiding goals that you can suggest to the parents that you feel will be good, and then they can interact with that, and they can, together with you, can come up with the goals for their child. Have data available, especially if there is a negative behavior that you need to address. Data is objective. It doesn't have any value-laden judgments associated with it. So for example, data might be anecdotal records that show what a student is doing and how often they're doing it. Or it might be a record time sample where you watch a child over a period of time and document how many times they do that behavior. You might write notes about whom that behavior is being done to. Whatever is necessary, but make sure you refrain from value-laden words like, he's in a bad mood, or he was grumpy today. Make sure that you just use the words of describing exactly what they're doing without any value attached to it. That way, when a parent looks at it, they look at the issue and not that my child's teacher is judging them or judging me as a parent. Create and provide a discussion format. So when you come into the parent-teacher conference, you should have some guiding questions and information that you go through that's standard for all parents, and then an open-ended time at the end. So you might ask, for example, what is the relationship that you have to the child and that the child has to the other members in the household? Are there siblings? How old are they? Are there stepbrothers or sisters? How old are they? Does grandma and grandpa live with you? Who takes care of the child when you're not around? How often is that? Ask about the child's favorite activities. What does the child like to play with or do or at home? Or where does the child like to go? Ask the parent what they think their child's strengths are, and then you share what you think their child's strengths are. And ask the parent the opposite question. What do you think your child's needs are? And then if you feel the child has certain needs, then you should share those as well. So when you begin your conference, how do you make it go well? Well, the first thing you need to do is help parents to feel at ease. If it's a parent's first time at a conference, oftentimes they come in with their guard up. They don't really know how to act. They don't know what to expect. And so you need to make them feel welcome. Speak to them by their name. Shake their hand. Make eye contact. Tell them welcome. Come into my classroom. So help them feel at ease. Begin with a positive attitude. Say something positive about their child. Even if the child is having a rough time, say something positive about their child. They love that child. They can find lots of positive things about their child. Think of something that they want to hear about their child. Not a lie, just something that's positive. Encourage parent participation. Encourage them to interact in discussion. Ask them open-ended questions that they can't just say yes or no. Be careful how much you talk. Make sure that you are listening as much as you are talking. So ask open-ended questions. And at the end of each part, kind of summarize it. You could say, I hear you saying that Johnny likes to play with blocks at home and likes to ride his bike. Would you say that's true? And summarize what they've said. And that way that gives them an opportunity to add something to it if they'd like to. Listen. And again, listen, listen, listen. I keep saying that over and over again. It's really important to listen to what they have to say. Remove distractions. If you have a phone in the room, turn it off, take it off the hook, whatever you need to do. Put a sign on the door that says you're in a conference, please do not disturb. Remove whatever it is that could be distracting. Empathize with the parents. Every parent has issues that they go through that are hardships. You know, you go through them yourself. So as a person who has been through them yourself, you can empathize with them when they're tired, or when their job is in jeopardy, or when they're having difficulty potty training their child, or when the siblings are fighting. You can empathize with that and tell them that you know that that's a difficult thing that they're dealing with and that they're doing a good job. You need to be patient. Sometimes it takes a while for a parent to warm up to you, and so it's going to take a little while for that information to come out. Sometimes just being quiet and having a little bit of dead silence allows for the parent to be forthcoming. So be patient. Hold your temper. Oftentimes they'll say things and it won't be in a nice way that they say it, and you have to not take it personally. They're just kind of venting. So don't take things personally and hold your temper. It is so unprofessional to lose your temper with a parent. And if you feel like you're at the point where you're just going to explode, you might just have to excuse yourself for a minute, or you might say, I'd like to think about this longer. Can we meet again at another time? And ask questions that show that you're listening. So when a parent is talking about something that's not on your script of questions, you should be writing that down and going back and clarifying and asking clarifying questions from them. By doing that, that shows them that you are listening to what they have to say. So here are some of the pitfalls to avoid for a successful conference. Avoid technical terminology. If you go in there and say, oh, I see that your child is really following a Piaget theory in their method of approach to education, do you think the parents are really going to know what that is? So make sure that you use words that are common words that they can understand, that there's not professional jargon. Avoid the role of the expert. Yes, you are a specialist in early childhood education, and so are they because they're raising their children. So avoid the role of I know it all, because we don't know it all. You're there to collaborate with the parents and help them to learn. And yes, you can contribute and they can contribute, and together you all can come up with a goal for their child. So avoid the role of the expert. That also saves you from trouble, because if they come back and say, Miss Terry said to do this and look what happened, that also saves you from being liable in any way. Avoid negative evaluations. We all know that there are things that we can say, and we can say them in such a way that someone is turned off by them, or we can say them in such a way that parents can hear them. So avoid negative evaluations. For example, if a child is making you crazy and acting inappropriately in class, then you can say, I'm concerned about your child because your child is exhibiting this behavior, and I'd like for us to talk about that. Stay objective, and the opposite of that is subjective. So stay with the facts. Avoid making comments that show your value, like I don't believe this, or I think that, or your child is. Stay with the facts. Avoid giving advice, and again, you have to make sure that the goals that you come up with are mutual, not something that you suggest that they go home and do. Come up with mutual goals. If you own it and they own it, you both are responsible for it. And last, avoid rushing into the solution. Sometimes we just need more time. Sometimes a child needs to develop more. Sometimes there isn't just a great big answer out there and we're going to do this and it's going to fix it. You have to make sure that you give the child time to develop, and you have to make sure that a solution isn't necessarily going to happen right away, and you have to be patient for that. So try all these things for your parent-teacher conferences, and I hope they go well.